Hey guys, what's up? This is Max Lewis. We're here at New Providence Church, and we are going to go in and spread the love, the gospel, and some insight with the members of the congregation. We're here with Pastor Steve.
Well, listen, it's all about the practical aspect of the Word of God, how to apply the Word of God. God talks a lot about money, talks a lot about wealth, talks about how you obtain it and how you leave it. We have some people waiting for Him on the inside. It's time to get busy.
Let's do it.
Let's go to work.
All right.
All right. We are thankful today to have an opportunity to be enlightened, to be educated, to be inspired, to be exposed to another level of movement, of progressive movement. Everything we enjoy today was an idea only yesterday. And the reason why it's no longer an idea is because the person with that idea put it into action, and now it became actualized. I'm excited that you all are here. The Bible says a good man, a good woman, leaves an inheritance to the children's children. So we're here to learn about how money is our friend. It's the only circle of friends that you want to increase. This is speaking metaphorically, you all. And we just thank God for the opportunity. And so let's put your hands together, Max.
I would encourage you guys to interact, ask questions, whatever you guys want to discuss, we can discuss. I'll give you a brief overview of my story, as Dr. Steve mentioned. First, I want to know, has anyone here had a chance to read the book at all? Yeah. Okay, so a few of you. So my story is basically, I started off, went to school, I had dreams of becoming a chef, and I was studying culinary arts. And during that process, I was working at a car wash. My father had a little propane gases to use for cooking and things like that. So I got a part-time job there on the weekends. I used to fill barbecue tanks. So people used to bring barbecue tanks to our office, and I used to refill them. I used to make $70 a day. And I met a man who worked at the Sagamore Hotel in South Beach, and he would come in every weekend and he'd say, I want to see if we could get these things delivered, which was a service that nobody provided at that time. And of course, at first I said, that's not something we do. I don't think anybody does it because there's not enough money to be made in that industry and, doing that type of service. So long story short, the guy comes back 2 or 3 times and he solicited my service. Hey, will you deliver it? And I said, well, I'm not going to do it. And then I said, you know what, basically I'll do it if you pay me $50 to do the delivery. And the guy at first said no. Then later on, after he got tired of doing it himself, he saw the value in that and he said, okay, fine, bring it to me. So long story short, I do this delivery and it was a pain in the neck and it took a long time, but I was rewarded because not only did I make $50 in, let's say, probably 2 hours, but then my father heard of what I did and he said, you know what, I'm going to give you an opportunity and I'm going to sell you the gas at my cost. And then eventually we decided it was going to be a little bit over his cost. And then when I redid the math, I didn't make $50, I made $100. I said, damn, $100 in 2 hours. I make $70 working all day long. So the light bulb went off. I'm like, okay, what if other people needed this type of service, right? If I could get a couple more people to, deliver to, if I could just do one a day, I don't even have to come to work anymore, right? It could be a business. So I had this idea and I thought about it. I didn't take any action. And one night I telling my girlfriend again at home, I have this idea. And she tells me, why didn't you just do it already? You're just thinking, you talk about it. She says, go make a business card. So I hadn't thought about that. I draw a business card. Super, chicken scratch, the ugly, really ugly drawing, $13.99 plus tax. So I do this drawing, I make a business card, and I start handing this card out to people. I was off to a very slow start, but eventually I hit it big. I discovered in South Beach, they have these tall heat lamps. They're like 7 feet tall, right? So they're like 7 feet tall, and I feel the heat. I talk to the manager, and I discover that this one guy that I met, uses 70 of those tanks every single day. So I was trying to do 10, right? 10 was like a big deal. He's like, I eat 70 these a day. And he's one restaurant owner. So the next day was Christmas Eve. I delivered 25 tanks to the guy. I made, $200 and something. So then of course, after that happens, now I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna travel the entire South Beach. When I did like that first delivery, I would say like total elapsed time was maybe like 3 months, something like that. I went from an idea to putting effort to putting more effort with pretty much no reward to 3 months later, roughly, I was making $3,000 a day. I worked like an animal, right? So I did that for a few months. And then in the summer, nothing, right? It's not cold anymore. So these guys don't need anything. So did a couple little deliveries here and there, but nothing major. So I spent my time preparing for the next year. What am I going to do next year? How can I get more business next year? Who can I hire? Things like that. And I had a very successful following winter. I made more money. I think I made like maybe 30 to 50,000 the first time. Second time I made like 130, 140. And then I start thinking, okay, this is great, but it's only seasonal. So I need to start putting another leg under this table, so to speak, right? I started thinking, where else can I sell propane gas to in these little barbecue tanks? The gas stations. You go to the gas station, you take your barbecue tank and you swap it out. Well, this was like 20 years ago, so it wasn't that popular at the time. There was a few people doing it. And long story short, I started doing that. I grew that business. That turned into a huge opportunity for me. And there was one main competitor in this space. So this guy's the biggest competitor in the state of Florida, right? And I would just fantasize about buying this guy. Because now I'm doing winter and I'm doing gas stations year round. So I'm like fantasizing about buying this guy. I'm like, man, this guy's company. I gotta buy it because he's my main competition. And once I buy him, I'll pretty much have no competition. Right? I could do whatever I want. I could charge whatever I want, I'll control the whole market. So I started thinking, this guy is going to want $4 million for his business. And I was like, I obviously don't have $4 million, but I need to make it happen. Long story short, I pursue it. I run into the guy's nephew at an event for propane, talk to the guy, and I say, you know what? I'm going to shoot my shot. I'm going to tell this guy, I want to buy your uncle's company. So I do that. I exercise faith. I set up a meeting with the guy. We start talking. And at that time, he had about 240 accounts left. Having a meeting with him, and I'm like, hey, what do you want? What do you want for the business? And I'm thinking, here comes $4 million, right? I ain't gonna be able to afford it, and I can't pay this guy. So I don't know what I'm gonna do once he says, give me $4 million, right? And I'm like, all right, let me see. So he keeps asking me, and this is an important lesson in business and in negotiation. He keeps asking me, how much do you want to pay for it? And I'm saying, what do you want for it? Right? What's the lesson there? Well, the first person to say, you don't know what's going to come out of this man's mouth, right? And based on what I'm telling you. So I'm persistent. He keeps asking me for a number. I keep saying, no, just tell me what you want. Tell me what you want. How much let's have some guesses. How much you guys think he wanted for his business? Why don't you give me a number? 1 million? 2 million? So the man tells me, I want $1,000 per account. That's 240 grand, $240,000. Man, I said yes so fast that he got nervous. He's like, deal? Why deal? Why are you saying deal so fast? I'm like, and then I'm like, well, I got to figure out, I got to make him feel comfortable. I'm like, man, because I feel like you really earned it. You deserve to get that amount of money. He was calm. And listen, this is what he wanted. I didn't beat him up for the price.
What made you value this company at $4 million?
So based on what I was doing with the amount of accounts that I had and how much money I was making, I said, and I don't remember the exact numbers right now, but I said, he's got 240 accounts, and let's say I had 200. Based on just the amount of accounts he had, and not only that, the equipment. So for me to set up a gas station, I needed to buy the cage, buy the propane tanks, get a license that costs $150, insurance that was around $150. I needed to install 2 barricades. Just all of that was more than $1,000. Just that, forget the money that you can make. And another factor is being able to eliminate a competitor. How much is that worth? If you don't got to compete with anybody, what is that worth? So you could measure that on so many different levels. I mean, there was probably like 5 different ways to value it, but in every scenario, it was worth the money. So I do the deal, and what can I do now that I control the market? Any guesses? Raise prices, right? So the second that I signed that contract, I raised the prices. And I essentially paid that man his money with the money that I made from the increases after I signed the contract. But I made a lot of money, in a short period of time. Fast forward, my parents convinced me to partner with my brother. They want them to be happy and grow and succeed together, right? So the intention is good. But that doesn't mean that we're going to be good business partners or get along. In theory, works. But the reality is we didn't get along in business.
Right.
Brothers were great brothers. Business, it was like black and white, night and day. So the fighting starts. Lots of fighting. And my parents smooth it over. Hey, your brothers, things that are not acceptable in a normal business environment. When you're working with family, they become acceptable. There's not a lot of respect. There's a lot of things that you can get away with. So long story short, that arrangement worked out until my mom died. So when my mom dies, now there's no referee, right? And my father is not the type of person that is, he's like very non-confrontational. The fighting that pretty much was always happening, it just continued to happen, but now there's just no one to calm it down. So it escalated, got really bad. And it really wasn't about money, because one of the people ask me all the time, how did it feel when you sold your business? It didn't feel like anything because I didn't do it for money. I didn't care about the money. Even after I sold my company, I bought a car for myself 6 months after. I had $30 million in the bank. I didn't buy anything.
So you actually enjoyed it with your father, but it just didn't work.
I didn't really enjoy working with them. I enjoyed being around my family. I wanted my needs met. I invested. I wanted to be at peace and happy. That's all it was about. It wasn't necessarily like, I want all this money. I just wanted to live. It wasn't, I didn't say I want to make 3,000 a day. I want to make 100. I ended up making more, but because I was dedicated.
You look like a young man right now. What do you when you got your business off the ground to the point where you knew you were going?
So I started it when I was 20. Yeah, I'm 42 now. And when did I know I was going to do that only? I had the idea and I liked it. I actually asked 3 different people. One of them was my brother if they wanted to be partners with me. Everybody told me it was like a silly idea. And I was like, well, I think it's a good idea. So I'm going to do it anyway. Right. So I did that. And then when I started making the 3K a day, that's when everyone was like, yo, you want to be partners? And no. And then I was like, no. And I stayed doing my own thing. And that's, fast forward a little bit, that's when my parents came in and they were like, I was already going off on my own thing, like very quickly. Maybe around that 3-month mark when I was making real money, I said, okay, this is a business, right?
What inspired you to write the book? And of the 37 lessons, what are your favorite teaching moments of the 37 lessons?
So I never wanted to write a book. People ask me all the time. Was it your bucket list? Never. No, nothing I ever wanted to do. I feel like God guided me to write it. And then during COVID, my girlfriend and I were in Montana. And I was like, man, I got nothing to do. I don't know what I'm going to do now. There's literally nothing to do. And she suggested, why don't you write the book? It's a good time to write a book. So I said, all right, I'm gonna give it a shot. And I bought a laptop for $600. My first laptop, I still own it. And I started writing the book. I could help people learn things that maybe they're not exposed to. And that's around the time that I got into it and went back and cleaned up the earlier chapters. And I really dedicated myself to giving as much as I could to the book so that other people could benefit. So there isn't one particular lesson, but there's one quote that I like to quote often, which is, not now does not mean not ever. You could be this person now, you could be in this situation today, but that doesn't mean you're not going to be in a better situation tomorrow, next week, next month, 3 years from now. Sometimes we're trying to make things happen and they don't really happen right away, but that doesn't mean they're not going to happen. You got to stay dedicated. The first person that read my book, I was there in the room when she was finishing the last page. And she looks up and she's like, you need to write another book. I was like, no way. So yeah, in the book, I kind of detailed, I had a cookie tin. That was my first. I got all these money and I told my dad I wanted in singles because singles looks like a lot of money. So I started like that, saving in a cookie tin. And then as I got older and I started selling candy, which is the next level of business, because then I was calculating how much can I buy, an Airhead for, and then what can I sell it for? What's the profit margin? And when I started doing that and testing different people's buying habits and what they liked, I'd ask my friends, you like Crybaby's great. That's when I started really playing with the numbers. And when I was making money there, I said, okay, I'm going to start saving a portion of my money. So I kind of broke it up into 3. So if I made $10, I get $5 and say, I'm never going to touch this, right? I'm going to put this away. It doesn't exist. Then I get like $2.50 and say, okay, out of this $2.50, I'm going to save it for something that I want. And then the other $2.50 was I'm clear to spend this, right? Free to spend this money. But what I learned and what happened is after a while of doing that, I kind of like enjoyed more the saving part than the spending, you know, because you spend it and it's gone. It's like, all right, well, now I got to start over again, right? It really helped me buy a lot of things that were fun, but it also helped me buy my first property. Because by the time I was, you know, of age, I was ready to start doing so, I had a little nest egg. And I understood how to manage money and respect it and utilize it to make my life easier.
You mentioned when you and your brother merged together. What's probably the top advice you would give a person preparing to merge or go into a partnership? Mm-hmm. You being the younger brother, okay, maybe sometimes like my sister, she's 11 months older than me, but sometimes I think I'm, you know, I can be in charge because you're the oldest, right? You're in charge.
Well, I would suggest having your business relationship documented and be very clear on who's responsible for what.
I don't know if I missed it, but I just want to know on a daily basis, from the morning when you wake up to the end of the day, like what's your process in thinking and your schedule and how do you go about your day?
Depends on what my objective is. I think in life you constantly are putting something else as top priority, right? So like when I was starting my business, nothing mattered but the business. I don't care if I was sick, there's a party, it's Christmas, I didn't care. Business, 24/7. I didn't care what food I was eating, I didn't go to the gym, nothing. Just 100% focused on that. As now in my life is a little different. I have a lot of things going on. A lot of businesses, properties, things. So it's kind of just like, what's the most important thing for me to address today, right? And I'll know that based on the flow of the week or month. You know, there's certain things like being here to me is a priority, right? So this is number one. I don't care what else is going on. Hey, I got to be here. That's it. I always have a list on my phone, on my notes. I have so many. I'll show you. It's different categories. Like I'll have real estate, daily life, favorite recipes. You know, there's everything in there, right? But there's like one main list that I use and I'm like, okay, whenever something's very important that I need to be addressing, I'll have it there. So every day I wake up, all right, what do I got to do? Okay, this. And then sometimes I'm like, all right, maybe I address that thing, erase it, or it's not that important right now, move it to the bottom. Something else is more important, I'll move it to the top. So every day I wake up, I'm like, okay, that whatever that most important thing, or usually it's like a top 3, I'm going to put energy into that. And that's a really good way. It's worked out very well for me because you get things done. You just do one thing towards your goal, your objective, you're going to make way more progress than everyone else because a lot of people are just kind of like dabbling in a lot of different things. That doesn't work out that well. And it's kind of like the tortoise and the hare, like slow and steady wins the race type of thing. So it all depends.
Like you do have a certain routine that you make sure to focus on for yourself.
To give you more color on that right now. So for example, the mornings are mine. That's what I tell everybody. The morning belongs to me. I don't set an alarm. I hate alarms. I wake up peacefully. So thinking time and just being organized in general, it'll help you create your future, right? So that you're designing a future for yourself instead of just reacting to the day or living everyone else's day. Because we all have, I guarantee you, any one of us could pick up the phone. Hey, what are you doing? To any of your friends. Oh, I'm doing this. Why don't you come with me? Okay, you just lost the whole day. You're doing whatever they want to do. But what's important to you? That's not going to make you any extra money. That's not helping you pay your bills. That's not helping you get to where you want to go in life. Now you're just wasting a day, you know? So putting that energy into something that is important to you and what you're trying to create for yourself and your family, you got to get serious about that. So having that time to get clear is extremely important.
Second was when you have your laser beam and you're attempting to do something a part of your scheduled meeting or something like that. And you have in mind how you want it to go and everything was set up to go perfectly that way, right? But you saw it going that way and then it takes a turn.
Okay, so here, let's say that my idea is I'm going to get up out of this chair and I'm going to walk out of this church. My plan is I'm going to walk down that way. I'm going to make a right. I'm going to go through those doors and I'm going to leave, right? That's my plan. And it doesn't go that way. You tackle me. They start kicking me. They tie me up, throw me in a corner, right? Now, tomorrow, I set myself free and I'm here and I'm like, all right, damn, that sucked. I really tried to get out of here and I couldn't get out. My plan didn't go as I planned. What could I do? Well, let's think about it. Is that the only way to get out of this church? My experience taught me that going this way and making it right is not going to work. At least not right now. So based on what I've learned, what's my objective? My objective is getting out of the church, right? How can I get out? Here's a good example. One window, door, another window, window. There's doors back there. There's probably like 7, 8 doors back there, even more windows. So there's probably about 30 ways I could get out of here. 30 ways. I was laser focused on one. My experience taught me that this ain't gonna be the way. Okay, so I'll try this one. That doesn't work, get a chair, break that window, get out that way. This way, that way, get a ladder, climb out through there. There's a lot of ways. So you just don't get focused on there's only one way to accomplish it. If you're not accomplishing what you're trying to get done, it's just teaching you, hey, there's probably a better way or there's a different strategy that you need to use to accomplish that goal. That's it.
You thought of this when you were very young. What about an elder person who might want to stop and do the same thing?
Of course. You know, the guy from KFC was 65 and he started his business. Colonel Sanders was 65. There's a lot of people start their businesses late in life. All right, so let's do this exercise real quick. We'll have some fun with it. It wasn't really planned, so we're gonna wing it, but we're gonna have some fun. I need for everybody to have like phones off, complete concentration. This is thinking time. You're in your own world. It's you, the pen, and this paper. Anything that comes to mind. Questions, solutions, thoughts, anything that comes to mind, just write it. We're just brainstorming. So fill the page. If you need more paper, get more paper. Turn it around. Okay, so I want everyone to think about something that they want to accomplish. So on your paper, write what it is that you want to accomplish, whatever that is. Write that down, or something that you want, something you want to achieve, place you want to go, business you want to start, whatever it is that you want. So now that you have what you want, I want you to start thinking about how you can accomplish this objective. How can you get it, get closer to it, what you need to learn, what needs to change today, and what do you need to do differently in order to guarantee your success. There's no plan B. When you have a good amount of ideas there, I want you guys to underline or circle your top 3 ideas or insights. Whatever you think is impactful, important. What are the best ideas or insights that you have? What's the most important? Second, third. And then those are the things that you're going to work on. All right, 3 more minutes. All right, guys, we are a wrap there. How does everybody feel? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah? Learn anything? Get any insights that maybe you weren't thinking about before? So that's a brief introduction to thinking time. So you can do that for 30, 40 minutes, an hour. Sometimes I do it for several times throughout several days, but I give myself that focus. And I have a list of questions that can provoke me in my phone. So if I'm like, man, I don't know what question to ask myself, I'll look at my phone, that's a good question for the problem that I have right now, or the challenge, right? And then I'll work on that. You get one question and work on it for an hour, because that one question will take you somewhere else. Like, oh, I didn't think about this. And you ask another question, or you have another insight, and it keeps taking you down this road. And then what you'll find is after doing that for a while, you're like, man, I got some good insights. You discover that you actually have the answers, right? The greatest thing about it is you can do this exercise with anything. Any problem, any challenge, anything that you want to do, accomplish, anything. You can say, let me think about this. And when you do exercise of this, it's like in your face. You're like, okay, let me make these changes to turn the ship, right? To right the ship. Trust yourself and bet on yourself. If I had to put all my money on someone or anything, I'm going to put it on myself.
Right.
I'm not going to let myself down, right? So that's something that, you can't listen to everyone's opinion. What they want you to do with your life is your life. You should remind yourself is think of a compelling future. Like when you're thinking, instead of thinking back, think forward, right? Like how good it's going to be to fly this plane, the joy you're going to get, whatever it is, just think forward instead of backwards. If you're thinking on the past, you're living in the past, right? So you're not going to go forward. You can't go forward if you're going backwards. So think future. Think about what you want to do, where you want to go, your truck, your planes, whatever it is, forward. And if you find yourself thinking of something that happened in the past, that happened already. It's gone. Think about where you're going. Okay, forget about the past. Failure it's information. That's all it is. It's information. You fail, okay, well, I got it. And now I learned something and I go forward. You got to take it as such. That's it. You can't live in the past. And if you're scared to move forward based on the past, yeah, of course you'll get stuck because you're using the past as a reference. But if you take the knowledge, the information and apply it, you'll have a more compelling future. People think it's more complicated than it is, but what it is, we have a problem of getting out of our own way, overthinking it. Think about it. Oh, because what if he says this or she says that, or what happened last time? Okay, what happened happened last time. What's going to happen next time? Let's change the dynamic. What's going to happen next time? Let's design this future, right? What are we going to make happen this time? Make it happen. And if you have a little bump in the road, adjust and keep making it happen. Just learn and keep adjusting. Get the lessons that God wants to give you, apply them to your life, and keep it moving. I'm going to give you an example of something that happens, and then I want you to help me plan, let's go to Australia. So you remember Lena and her family. So we did a family trip, and we went to Italy and Greece. So flights are expensive. We're all going. It's a big family. She doesn't have money to go, right? What did she do? First thing she did was call me. Why? Because I'm a great resource, right? I'm a businessman. I fly a lot. I got some money. She said, let me call my cousin and see if he can help me. So the first thing she did was she acted. She took an action. She didn't just say, man, what do I do? I don't know what to do. She took an action, called me, said, hey, everyone's going. I want to go, but flights are too expensive. What can I do? I said, well, I have American Express miles that I can use to get you a ticket. And when I use my miles, they only charge me half. So if your flight's $2,000, it'll be $1,000. So she just saved half the money, right? She said, yeah, but I got to take me, my husband, my niece, and my daughter. So there's 4 of us. So I'm like, okay, I can't help you there, right? Now that's a lot, right? But she's like, I'm going to work on it. I said, maybe you should look into connecting flights. Maybe you can find connecting flights. It's going to be a longer trip, but you can get there a lot cheaper. Right? She's like, all right, I'm going to work on that. So she went off on like an internet rampage, and she found, long story short, all 4 of them, okay? All 4 of them flew to Greece to be with her family. It's $1,300. She connected them. She connected, but she made it there with $1,300, her whole family. And then I paid with my miles. So she went from basically impossible, it's not happening, to we did it. Think and make moves. Call people, get advice, learn. Expedia, kayak, whatever. What are the best times of year to fly to Australia? What are the cheapest times? Ask questions so you start getting an education. And then with that education, you can make decisions. Like if it was me, if I had that challenge, I'm like, all right, first thing I'm gonna do, what's the best, cheapest time to fly to Australia this time? What's the best connecting flight? What are the best times of day? What are the best days of the week? So let me ask you a question. What do you think was the biggest barrier to you getting to Australia? Money? How much money?
I don't think even I just want to go there. We looked into it yet.
That's why it's scary, because you have made it this huge problem in your mind for whatever reason without saying, let me see what this actually is and what it entails and what it costs. I just gave you an example of a lady with a family of 4 went to Greece for $1,300. That's not a lot of money. That's nothing. She would have gone by herself, it would have been $300. It's crazy, right? That's nothing. So just what you just did, perfect. But keep doing it now. Absolutely. I wrote myself a check for $25 million. So I wrote it and I taped it on my bed. And so I had my check and I put what I was going to do to earn it. So in my case, it was, grow my business, get X amount of customers, make X amount of money, and then I'm going to sell my company for $25 million. So that's, in a way, how you back into a goal. You decide what you need to get to where you want. And so anyway, I had these checks that go at the end of that chapter. So I just wanted to give you guys each one in case you get inspired and you want to write yourself your own check, your goal, tape it up on your wall. And this is what I want. And this is what I'm going to do to get it. So for example, if it's, let's say you decide you need $5,000 for your Australia trip. So I'm going to $5,000. And what am I going to do? I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to make that money. I'm going to do everything I need to do so that by this date, I'm getting on that plane. I'm going to Australia. Bam, put on your wall, put on your bed, and just a reminder that you got to keep pushing towards that goal, that objective that you want.
Do you act off of, and generally speaking, do you act off of empty time, or
No.
do you make sure that you thought it out, or do you wait to feel good to act, or?
I would say definitely not wait till you feel good. Don't do that. Just do it. Don't do it. But I would say it's a mixture of both. It's kind of impulsive because I just want to do something, right? Like I want to get something done so that I know Again, failure is information. So let's use that same analogy we used earlier. Hey, get out of here, right? We could sit here and talk, well, let's think about how we can possibly do that. Maybe we can try this, that, or we could get up and try to open the door. Okay, that didn't work. Information, logged, next. Now let's go here. Does that one work? No, it didn't work. Sometimes that's the hard way, but I'm getting things done. I'm not just talking about it. There's a saying, don't sing it, bring it. I love that one. Don't just talk about it. Do something. Do something. You do something, you start the ball rolling, and you take action. Now, I do like to think, I like to know what my objective is. So in using that same analogy, getting out of the building, like you said, the destination doesn't change, right? I know what I want. Now let me start making moves. Call somebody, look up something, learn something, and just the ball starts to go. But if you just think and think and think, I mean, you think yourself to death, you know? All right. Well, you guys got your checks. I think we're done. I hope you guys found some value today.